You know what I've noticed? People aren't taught how to cope.
Well, coping skills has something to do with admitting there's a problem. You know what I want to know? What do you think about the Red Pill Society?
The roles have reversed, and I don't know if that's a bad thing. But another note, who's raising our children?
I don't know, girl. I think the whole village moved. I am going to ask this for a friend. Why people only want to talk to God when things are bad?
Ooh, I got my hand up. Because they trifling.
I know that's right.
You know we got to take this to the mic. All right. I decided I wanted to ruffle your feathers today.
Oh, great.
So, I was watching one of your favorite people because I really didn't watch him when he was alive. You know, I heard different people's opinion and saw little clips and all that, but I never really watched him. So, for the last couple of days, I've been watching him a little bit more. And this is your favorite person, Kevin Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I actually agree with a lot of things that he was saying. And I'm going to tell you why. I know you didn't, but he was brutally honest with these women. And it's not that he tore them down. He was just honest with them. Like, one of the girls was saying how she thought she was a 10 and how she was going to rate herself a 10 every time. And the question he asked her was, you know, without your hair done, like getting out the shower or something, how would you rate yourself? I'm going to rate myself a 10 every time. Well, that's not being realistic. But, I mean, I know she was just trying to stay positive in herself. But what he was telling her was that's not realistic. You're not going to be a 10 every time. You're not a 10 right now. So if you was to be honest with yourself, what would you rate yourself? You know, well, I'm going to rate myself 10. So, and then he would cut them off and be done with them because you're not being honest with yourself. So the longer I watched him, the more I understood him and the message he was trying to deliver to some of these women.
Yeah, you know you was going to ruffle my feathers with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, you know, I almost jumped out of character, forgot to choose my best friend since 11.
Mm-hmm. I already know. Because I know you don't feel the same way, but I'm telling you.
No, let me say this, Trixie. Let me say this. It's not that the topics he brought up weren't necessary, because they were. And the things that he discussed are necessary. Are there some delusional women out there? Yes. There's tons of them. Are there some delusional men? Yes, there's tons of them. Do we need to have better discussions so that we can learn how to meet each other in the middle again? Because everybody has these grand expectations of other people, and they give themselves too much credit for what they're bringing to the table. I get that. That wasn't my issue with him. Not the top. The topics weren't my issue. The way he talked to women, the way he berated women, the way he degraded women, that was my issue all along. I don't know how many episodes or what other episodes you watched of him. How many did you watch?
I watched a lot of clips, and I didn't see any where he degraded.
Well, you need to watch a full, you need to watch, not the clip. You need to watch the full-on messaging and experiences, because, you know, people do clips and make clips look any kind of way. You need to watch the whole messaging behind him, the whole conversation. You need to watch those. I'm going to go and try to find the one that started it for me. And I was like, and we've talked about it, where he missed the whole opportunity. And he just kept turning turning the whole conversation into a narrative that the girl who was 25 wasn't even trying to take it to. He started going into, the high value stuff because that was his stick. And all the girl was saying is that she had hope that she could find somebody. She's lived in Philly, so he started talking about where she lived at, just a whole bunch of stuff to make it seem like her thought process was delusional, which it wasn't. Why does she need to feel like her life is over because she's 25 and she's not with somebody? Why would you tell her to give up and get a dog at 25? No. And the girl went into how she struggled with making commitment because what she saw her mom do. He tried to handle her like she ain't had no daddy growing up, but she did. Her father was very ill and it was terminal, I assume, because all she saw was her mother take care of her father. She didn't have a life. She didn't do anything. She just took care of her father, who was really, really sick. And he, of course, probably couldn't import into her. She didn't go into what the sickness was. And instead of him acknowledging the fact that she already said she had an issue because of this, and instead of you acknowledging that fact and building on that, like, oh, therapy can help you with that. You, again, tried to handle her with her mama. You didn't see an example. And when you saw that she saw an example of what it meant to be a wife and support your husband in sickness and in health, now you want to go to, oh, well, yeah, you missed the mark, or something wrong with you and you need to just give up and get a dog. Really? So no, he's just disrespectful. He was just too disrespectful for no reason other than you were feeding this need for these borderline incel men going to be sexually frustrated for the rest of their lives because they don't know how to work on them and they wanted to make it the woman's problem. All you were doing was feeding their ego because they can't talk to women in the way that you do. Why women called into him to get his advice, I don't know. But again, that's for me to look at these women. These women were seeking validation, in my opinion. That's why they called in. And he was never going to validate it. I wanted to watch him with his interview with Nicki Minaj because I'm sure he didn't handle her. And I watched some of them. I couldn't take her because it was so obvious that she was looking for him to give her the strike of approval. But she's the same woman that y'all was talking about. She's just got money. It's no different. You know what I'm saying? I don't, me and you gonna just disagree on that.
I know. So, like I said, I watched little short clips, and from what I could tell, he was very short with the women, very not trying to compromise or not trying to give them a
space to,
like a side A, side B, or whatever. Like me, if I'm talking to someone, I'm going to give them the good, the bad, the ugly. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to smooth it over a little bit. Well, you do have this in your favor, but you can work on this. He didn't have that. He just giving them the ugly part, because a lot of them, the clips that I saw, a lot of them did come on. A lot of them did think that they were, of value and wanted this and that. And I think that was half the problem, like you said about Nicki Minaj. I didn't even know she had went on there. But I think that they were going on there to seek validation from him. It's like, oh, if I can get Kevin Samuel's approval. But a lot of people suffer from their own insecurities, including Kevin Samuel. You can just tell. I don't know, and not to put him down because he's passed and gone, but I was just looking at him from every angle, and I'm like, did you get is your hair sprayed on? Which I think it was. The fresh cut, the suit always in place, kind of remind you like of a young Steve Harvey, when Steve Harvey was just like never out of place. Mm-hmm. His suits, everything, even today, he's never out of place.
Right.
And so usually people like that are dealing with their own insecurities. So what he probably did was took his insecurities and turned them around and start putting the women down. But like I said, I'm not even gonna lie. Some of what he told some of those girls, I could see and agree with, because as a woman, you should think more of yourself than to think, well, I need a high value man because I'm bringing my coochie to the table or whatever, and it's more than that. It's just more than that. And a lot of women don't understand that. They don't know that. I ain't gonna say they don't know that. Well, maybe they don't know it. It depends on who they was raised by. But they're not understanding that it takes more than what's between your legs to get a good man. A good man, a man that wants to be a good husband to you. Not just somebody that want to sex you, but somebody that wants to be a good husband and remain in your life. it takes more than good coaching.
Well, we don't disagree in that. It does. It takes a whole lot. But that wasn't even the conversations that he was having. The conversations he was having was more about women needing to be fit and feminine and submissive, and definitely not being an independent woman with an opinion or anything, basically a caterer to a man. That was what he was saying, that women needed to be more of. That's what high value men were looking, and that all these independent, strong women want. So it's a lot more. You've got to watch more than them clips. Them clips don't tell you the whole story of how he talked to him. And you know I don't care about brutal honesty, because I can be brutally honest sometimes. And I'm okay with that. But you don't have to degrade somebody by being honest. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to drag somebody down. You don't have to try to dehumanize a person. And he only did that for viewership. He only did that to suffice those sorry trifling men who followed him, because that's what they are, that need a daddy and thought they found a voice in him because they felt isolated by women. It ain't our fault that you don't know how to talk to nobody. It's not our fault that you don't know how to communicate to a woman, and that you're looking for these, I don't even know how to call them, these women that are more prone to date more successful men. You're looking at, let's go back to high school, because this is the mentality that most of these dudes have. Let's go back to high school. You're looking to date the head cheerleader when you play the tuba in the band.
But see, I didn't see every clip I saw. It wasn't that he was degrading. He wasn't even talking rough to him. He was just simply saying